G'day everyone, welcome to Matt Hill Scale Models. This is video number 2 of the update from entry for the all-at-sea group build. It's the Matchbox Westland Wessex helicopter, Royal Australian Navy. If you've seen in the previous video, we'll have a bit of an inbox review of the kit if you want to follow up a bit further. So how's it going? It's going okay. It's not a bad model. It's not as good as some of the newer ones, I suppose, but when we've got these old kits in our stashes, we've got to make do with what we've got. So, the cockpit is completed. As you can see, I've added a little bit of extra detail. I cut the seats down. The Matchbox seats are really high and narrow, just a typical thing, almost like what's in their Matchbox Phantom, if you've ever seen that, and a few of other kits they've got. So I've cut them down. Added some framework from some styrene stock, added a parcel shelf there for some description, the fire extinguisher, some headrests on the back of the seats. I've used some copper wire for some control sticks, and hopefully it will look alright painted with a bit of a wash. Once it's painted, the harnesses will go on the seats. The padding on the back of the bulkhead was done using a 2-part kneaded epoxy. It was laid down before construction on the bulkhead, and then I used the handle of my pin vise drill. It's got this knurled texture to it, and I just rolled it onto the epoxy in one direction, and it brought out that padding material texture on the back. A few little glitches with this kit. The rotor assembly has got a lot of flash on it. Be prepared if you do build this kit. It's enough detail there, but it's a lot of clean up, so you'll have to tinker around very carefully, clean things up to get it up to scratch. The bottom half of the rotor hub, I'll just grab this little toys, is very delicate. I've actually broken it again. It's got a very fine point where it steps up to be thin. I'm going to take these sections off and replace them with some stretch sprue or some styrene stock. I just don't like it. It's very hard to clean up because there is a bit of clean up on that where there's a bit of mold slip, so it's hard to fix. The engine hub is done. It's got a square keyway on it, so everything sort of locks in together. The tail wheel is done. Enough detail there to keep people happy. The tail section, Matchbox have moulded so you can actually have the tail section folded away, but they don't give you an option to fold the rotors. If you want to do that, that's something you'll have to look at doing yourself. Bit of scratch building. The winch is done. Most of the small things are done. The exhaust system, they're horrible. I'm going to go into my local hobby shop, McCann's Model World in Hobart, and try to get some aluminium tube. Which one? I won't get this moulding. I'll have to try to work out a way where I can sort of flare the end, which I think I can do. I've worked out how to do that. And plus, hopefully in aluminium I can get that size or approximate that size, because then I can polish it to replicate some stainless steel exhaust systems, and once I put a little bit of smoke wash over it, it should look alright. Now the main drawback with this kit, now this is the nose section out of another kit that I've got. This is the nose they give you for the Royal Australian Navy version. Now the Royal Australian Navy version doesn't have this hatch or inspection port on it front, and the intake is the full width of the front nose. So to replicate that, I made my own up out of some styrene stock, some mesh out of the spares box, which is about the equivalent to 1/72 scale. You know, it looks the part. And so hopefully once that all goes together, it should look like the grill. Now people say, oh, it's sitting out proud. Well, on the real Royal Australian Navy Wessex, they do sit out proud, away from the nose. It's probably a little bit big in the material I used, but I think it'll look fine in the end. The only other thing, just be careful, guys, is this has had the fuselage cut. Now it does give you a very good a marking or an area to show you where to cut it. Do cut it straight, take your time. There will be some gaps here, no matter how I tried. You will need a little bit of filling and sanding, so I'll just use my favourite putty at this stage, which is still the old Tamiya putty. I have been using some AK stuff as well, but I find that the AK, if you're not careful, will actually come off. So when you start to get the AK down to the feathering mark, it will actually peel off sometimes, depending on what plastic you use. And I did find that on a couple of the older Airfix kits. It didn't like sticking to it, neither does much else. So that is that done. So now it's just painting. The interior, I should mention too, is Spartan. There's not a thing in it. There's no detail at all. I'm not going to do anything with it, guys, to the fact there's just so much work. And I think it'll look fine with the door closed. It doesn't sort of bother me that much. People probably could scratch build something, but that much effort, you're probably better off buying a kit, the Ichilari kits, 1/72, or someone else out there will have one with a bit more detail. But this will look fine once it's sitting on the shelf. So the clear is a little bit funny, but as I said before, I think the clear will polish up with a little bit of, just a little bit of Tamiya polish on a rag and give it a sand up. Instrument panel is done. Some nice representation of some dials there. That will all come out. It'll look good once it's all picked out. You won't see much anyway. But the other thing that will be a bit tricky, the top windows, I have to paint in a bit of Tamiya green clear. They had a sort of a green tinge to them. I haven't really done that before, so I'll just have to experiment on some scrap first and see how it is. I think maybe airbrushing it might be the way to go if I can mask it up good enough. But yeah, that's about it. So the next video we should have in a couple of days of a few more things painted up. Hopefully everything will come up together in the interior wise. It'll look good once it's done. Then I can close the fuselage halves up, and then I can see what the fit is like. One thing before, I've just noticed, if you can see on here, these little tabs here, and there's one on, if you're going to build the English version, there's a tab here which I've knocked off anyway. There's both tabs on both sides of the aircraft, so the left didn't know what the right hand was doing. So you're better off cutting all these little tiny tabs off, because the aircraft won't go together, because there's nowhere for these little lugs to locate on the other side, or vice versa. So just trim those off, otherwise it will not fit together. That's just something that is a flaw in the Matchbox kit. But yeah, hopefully if I get this one bowled over, I'm having a bit of fun with it. Then I will build the Royal Australia. I will build the Naval Air Squadron HMS Bulwark 1966, which is the two-tone machine. And then if I do get time, I'll have a crack at building that, which is the real old Airfix Whirlwind HAS 22. This kit is an old kit, and I'll do an inbox review on that hopefully in the next few hours, and I can sort of just tinker around on the two of them as I go together. I'm just waiting for some bits and pieces to dry on Zulu, and Zulu will I'll have a update video on that as well over the weekend. So thanks very much, guys. I appreciate my new subscribers of over 300 now. I still can't work out how to do a 300 thing special event. I've gone back to basics here, so I concentrate on building models and share my experiences with you without all the fun and games and all the fancy flair and the title music. We just want to get back to basics and build models and get a good result from them. So until the meantime, be good, model hard, Love yourself, love everybody. It's we had some pretty bad things happen in New Zealand, and my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in New Zealand. Doesn't matter what race, religion, or creed you are. So God bless you all, and our thoughts, or my thoughts, and our community's thoughts are with you all. So until next time, guys. Yeah, take care, love each other, peace out.